Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, did you come in a spaceship or just
I came on a Virgin Atlantic aeroplane, actually, so maybe a spaceship next time.
Okay, so, I mean, I asked you this off air. So tell us,
Yeah.
the first thing that came to mind, I mean, obviously, just looking at the story, is how much it actually costs. How much it's going to cost for South Africans to go to space?
It's going to cost $200,000 US dollars a ticket to start with. But when Richard launched this business, one of the things he said was that we wanted to make this more and more affordable, which we'll do. But it's a very expensive project. It's costing us maybe $400 or $500 million to get the spaceships built and in the air. So we need to start off with a commercially sensible price. And then maybe competition will come, economies of scale, and we'll be able to push the price progressively down.
Okay, so I mean, why South Africa?
Well, Virgin's, Virgin's popular here. There are 6 Virgin companies. I think people like the brand. And we just wanted to make sure that people in South Africa knew that this is for real, that the spaceships are in existence. They're flying in the test flight program, and we'll be in commercial operation now very soon. And we also wanted to make it easier for those South Africans that wanted to reserve a place for space to do so. So we have a network of agents now from today around South Africa that will be able to sell you a ticket to space.
Okay, so you're talking about a very large investment that needs to go into this. I mean, tell us about the job creation portion here in South Africa, and also about the operations here. I'm sure you're also spending quite a lot on infrastructure in South Africa.
Well, to start with, the space flights would actually launch out of America. Okay. We have a beautiful new spaceport in New Mexico, which has been built for us by the state of New Mexico, and that's where we're going to start operations. So we'll be flying on a very regular basis, a little bit like an airline, but up to space and back. And as that operation beds down and we can think about expansion, then with the right launch licenses and export licenses from the States, we'll be looking at other places in the world. We may go to Abu Dhabi, which is where our investor is, and we'll also look at other parts of the world. And in many ways, South Africa would be fantastic.
Okay, so how many people have actually signed up for this? I think you said
we've got about 520 people now, so that's over $100 million of revenue. Some famous, some not. We've 2 people already signed up from South Africa.
Please tell us about the famous people. Who's actually signed up?
Well, our 500th customer happened to be Ashton Kutcher, so
okay.
that was a nice big name. But actually, this community of people are all pioneers in a new industry. They're doing something very important by stepping up to the plate early.
And you mentioned off air 2 South Africans, so and
yes.
You did say you were going to tell me on air who they were.
No, I told you I wasn't going to tell you who they were.
I was just testing to see if you were going to budge on that.
Good try, though. Good try.
Okay, so I mean, tell us about it's a 2.5-hour flight.
It's about 2.5 hours. It's called a suborbital flight, so it gives you the whole astronaut experience, the rocket ride to space, the zero gravity where you'll be able to float around in a large cabin, fantastic views of the Earth, life-changing views of the Earth, and you'll come back an astronaut. But you'll only need 3 days training for this, which will happen at Spaceport America. And I think compared with the cost of going to space as a private individual before has been maybe $20 or $30 million to go with the Russians. $200,000. It's a good start at reducing prices.
So
and
tell us about the margins there. Then I mean, you got $200,000 that you're charging. You're obviously going not only doing individual flights. I think
no, there's 6 people a flight, so $1.2 million a flight.
So what are your margins then?
Well, we also always wanted this to be a commercially viable business. If we're going to start a new industry, it has to be commercially viable, and we should be a very, it's these big capital-intensive projects. They cost a lot of money to get there. It's painful to get across the line, but once they start operating, they can often be very profitable very quickly. So this will be a cash-generative project, and we think, we should be profitable in the first year of operation.
Okay, so may I ask, if something goes wrong in space, then what? I mean, what kind of insurance and risk?
I mean, the reason that we are taking our time before we fly our first passengers, and the first passengers will be Richard Branson and his 2 children, so we do really have to get this right. But the reason that we're taking so much time is that because, what we're doing is hard, and it is intrinsically, there's some big risks of taking people to space, and so we are test flying and really making sure that we know everything about the performance of our new vehicles to make sure that we can start very, very safely indeed. People will have to sign a waiver before they fly, but the important thing is that we keep them safe.
So sign a waiver, that indemnity form?
They do sign a waiver. They do sign a waiver, but in the United States, you're going to get sued anyway, so we've just got to keep them safe, and that's why we're really taking our time to get it right.
Okay, and what's also fascinating is from a jet fuel perspective, or rocket fuel perspective. Yes. I know that you're using the most advanced technology as well, which is obviously bringing down the cost, and then also carbon footprint. Yes. That is also what you're focusing on.
Yeah, we are, and one of the reasons that Richard wanted to do this project was because getting to space at the moment is using very old technology. It's pretty dangerous, it's very expensive, and it's got a very ugly footprint, environmental footprint. So we're using very new technology. It's all carbon composite, very light, very strong materials. We launch our spacecraft in the air rather than on the ground, which is a big save in energy. We actually sort of glide back to the runway, and we can use this vehicle maybe hundreds of times rather than having to have a new vehicle every time we go to space. So, you know, better access to space is going to be very important in the future. There's lots of things we can do there to improve our quality of life back here on Earth, but we need better access, and that's really what this project's all about.
Okay, so when do you actually, I mean, when is the first flight?
Well, we're flying already in the test flight program, and as I said, you know, safety is our North Star.
Yeah.
I think we're somewhere between 18 to 24 months from commercial operations, but we will start when we're ready to start. But there's not far to go. We've been doing this now for 7 or 8 years, and it's the final stretch, so it's the right time to get involved.